Hi, so we are at a part of the training where we start talking about money. And the first part of money we're going to talk about is sales. So this is the economic value that you are providing to the world and the money that you're receiving in return. It really is, how do you develop a plan, a sales plan, to grow both your income and revenue, as well as grow your profit margin, right? So how can you charge more as time goes on, as your expertise grows, as your production costs come down, right? So it's a multifaceted thing. Sales is really about relationships and building rapport with customers so they trust you, they know you, and they want to buy your solution because they believe that it's going to fix their pain or it will bring them pleasure in some way. Right? People are motivated not necessarily just because you're their friend, but because you have something they want or they need. And so a sales piece of this plan is to really identify what is that transaction all about. So the first thing I want to talk about is this slide here, which is looking at sales from two different points of view. The first point of view is if you have a brand new business, you don't have sales yet, so it's going to look a little different. If you have a new business, the first thing I want to think about is sales forecasting and goals. So let's set a goal, either a revenue number, a customer acquisition number, or a profit number. And the reason why we need to do this is because we want to say this is where we want to go. When we think about kind of in the Business Brilliance course, the mission and the vision of our business, that was really the macro transition, right? Like, where do we want to go in all of these ways? But at the end of it, yes, we are in the people business, but we are in a business to make money, right? We need to cover our costs. We need to invest in our businesses, invest in staff, in overhead, in production. We need money to make that happen. And so if you're a brand new business, you don't have a lot of experience forecasting what might be in the next 6 months or 12 months, because you don't have past data to say, oh, in the previous year, it looked like this, so we can just add a little bit more. You don't have that. So it's really going to be important for you to definitely recognize that setting forecasting and goals should be done in shorter periods. So instead of saying, I want to make $100,000 in a year, you can say, I would like to make $6,000 a month, for example. And then say, okay, I can easily meet that, or wow, I am not able to meet that goal. So I need to look at what that looks like. Am I not charging too much? Am I not getting enough clients in? Am I paying too much in expenses? Like, what's going on in this? So let's set smaller goals so that you can start practicing what it feels like to forecast in your business, read the environmental cues around you, and set longer term goals. When we have some of those goals set, so say I want to make, $5,000 a month, or we'll do $4,000 a month because it's easy to divide by 4, then what are some milestones? So if your goal is to make $4,000 a month, your milestone might be, I need to make $1,000 a week. So what does that look like, right? If you are selling one course for $1,000, you need to sell one a week. If you're selling a $20, hair system or shampoo, product, you need to sell a lot of those to reach $1,000. So only you know what that looks like. But when you have your goal, set milestones that are realistic and designed for your success, right? That you are in your business brilliance, you are not burning out, you are not doing all the things. You are really just in a place where you can be in your business brilliance and make things happen, right? Your milestones are a reflection of the effort and energy and investment you can make in your business, and then people are willing to buy your solution to help you meet those milestones. You also need to establish a tracking system, right? So when you make sales, How do you keep track of that? Is there an order form? If you are at a physical place like a farmer's market and you bring 20 jams, how are you tracking how many jams you sell? Is it just check marks on a page? Are you entering it into a database somewhere? Like, what mechanism works for you? And then, what is your current sales capacity and how can you grow that as needed? So say, for example, you make soap and you can make 50 bars of soap a week. That's your sales capacity, right? What happens if you say, I want to sell 50 soaps a week, and by Wednesday, you're sold out? You can either say, woohoo, I did it, and take the rest of the week to do some of your CEO time, or to investigate new blends, or to, play around with new scents or new shapes. You can totally do that. If you want to be revenue focused, you might think, if I want to make 70 soaps per week and try to sell 70 soaps, how can I scale? I might need to outsource some things. I might need to have more physical space because I've run out of physical space so all the soaps can dry. I might need to invest in more packaging because I use up all of my packaging, right? So what would it look like for you to be at capacity? And then how do you get to the next level? Now, I'm not saying the next level is what you want. For some people, it's not at all, right? They say, I want to make 50 soaps a week, and I sell them each for $5. So I have my money and I'm good. That's the income I want to have, and that's totally fine. But if you're in a growth state, or you have ambitions to have bigger reach, or to be, serving more clients, then you're not going to stop on Wednesday, right? So you need to keep going. If you have an established business, if you've gone through the Business Brilliance course and you have actually had a business before, or this business you're currently in has been going on for a while, you would go to this slide. And this slide talks about your sales plan if you have had previous sales experience in this business. So let's look at how much have you generated and over what period. What product sells the best? You might offer 5 different kinds of soaps. What is your best seller, or are they all equal sellers? Do some get requested more often? Do some sell out quickly and the other ones sell because there wasn't enough of the first one and they'd rather have something than nothing? How much do you earn per sale? So if you are making soaps, you might earn less than if you're making a digital course and you can produce it once but sell it 1,000 times, 10,000 times. There's no limit to how many times you can sell a course or a book or a framework like that. So how much do you earn per sale is relevant. What products in your world or in your services, products or services, are continuing to grow? So what are the things that people are asking for? What are the products that are, kind of outperforming the other ones? And maybe there's a product line that's underperforming, and that would be super helpful to know too, right? Because if you've read Mike Michalowicz's The Pumpkin Plan, his idea is that there's one vine that grows through a field and all the pumpkins grow off of that vine. And the farmers go through the vine and they start to look at all the pumpkins growing, and they decide, we are actually going to take off all the underperforming pumpkins from the main vine, so all the energy and nutrients and growth go to this pumpkin, because we want to take this pumpkin to the county fair and we want to win first place for the biggest pumpkin at the county fair. The only way to do that is that there are no other pumpkins taking vital nutrients and minerals from the main pumpkin, right? If you have a product that is growing and everybody wants that product, but you're still propping up all these other products, you have to decide, is it time to retire those products? Is it time to cut them off the vine and really go deep and go big on this one pumpkin solution? Now, it could be, something that you're not super crazy about, and you get to decide, no, actually, I want to support all of these other little pumpkins. Totally fine, your choice. But if you want that pumpkin to be the masterful, award-winning pumpkin, you cannot have the other pumpkins taking the energy and the nutrients from the vine. It's just not going to work. How many more customers do you have now versus, say, last month or last quarter or this time last year? Is your customer base growing, right? If your customer base is growing, you are doing the right things in some ways. Find out what those are. How are you growing your customer base? Is it through referrals? Is it through increased advertising? Is it through video content? Is it through writing a blog? Is it through testimonials? What is helping? What is the marketing that is fueling the growth in your sales? That's good to know for sure. Are there trends in your marketplace, in your industry, in your neighborhood that you can see? So if the pendulum starts swinging a different way and you see this new trend is happening, what are you able to do about that, right? New social media platforms pop up. Different platforms grow and different platforms shrink. If you're able to see some of the trends, perhaps you can jump on a growing platform and get in the early days so you get more eyeballs, so you get more visibility, right? That's totally possible, and it would be beneficial to you in your marketing to support your extra sales, right? So if you grow your marketing, hopefully your sales will grow along with it. So with those trends, you might actually be able to say, oh, you know what? This is the summer trend, or this is the seasonal trend, or this is becoming a trend. I can do something with this trend. It fits my business, it fits my product or service, it fits my personality. I'm totally all over that. And you can ride that wave. That's totally great. And what is your retention or your renewal rate? So for your clients, when you get a client and they stay your client, what is the cost to retain them? What do you need to do to retain them as a client? Because remember, it costs more to find new clients than it does to maintain your previous ones. So when we think about client retention, does that mean you drop them an email once a month with an update? Do you give them coupon codes or discount codes? Or are you able to give them early access to something to get in before everyone else, right? What does it mean for you to retain a client in your business? Because that is a sales booster for sure. Now, it doesn't matter if you have an established business or a brand new business, goals are going to drive your timelines, right? So it could be that you set weekly goals, monthly goals, quarterly goals, and annual goals. And the thread that runs through all of them is the goal, right? Is the actual process of setting a goal. So I'm going to remind you about our goal chapter in the Business Brilliance class. And I know that might feel like a long time ago, depending on when you actually watched that video. So we're going to go over it again here. When you set your business goals, you can think of short-term and long-term goals separately. Because if I have a short-term goal to, say, film and edit this video and put it up on the, in my course selection, that's a short-term goal. A long-term goal might be to sell 100 courses, right? I can't necessarily focus on selling 100 courses if I haven't yet created a course and I don't know what it's going to entail, so I don't know how to talk about it and I don't know who's to buy it. So having an idea of the course is super helpful for me to know that I can reach my 100-person goal. And I can devise a marketing campaign over a certain number of months to help me get to that 100-person goal. But if you are only focused on long-term goals, you might lose track of why you're doing the daily things. Or if you're only setting daily goals, you might lose track of what it all means. Like, where are you even going when you're doing all of this work? So having both short-term and long-term goals are beneficial for your business, and they help keep you in your business brilliance. So when we're setting goals, remember, we're going to brainstorm all the goals. And when you watch the goal video, whenever you watched it, you might actually be a different entrepreneur right now by the time you got to this video. So we're going to do it again. I want you to list out some of your business goals, some of your top short-term business goals, some of your top long-term business goals. And you can decide if long-term means a quarter of 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. I'd probably say not go longer than that, because then you get into your vision, and we're not at the vision stage. We're at the goal setting stage, right? So let's go with 90 days or your 3-month goal sheet. List out all the goals you'd like to accomplish in the next quarter. And what do those look like in all the areas of your business, right? So you might set a financial goal. You might set marketing goals, you might set sales goals, you might set customer reach goals or production goals. You might set operation goals or financing goals, right? So decide what kind of goals you want to set and outline the top few. And then select one to do this exercise, just like we did the last time. When you've selected your one, I want you to think about what are some obstacles that you foresee in the way to prevent you from reaching your goal. And then, of course, what resources do you have to overcome those obstacles? Because if you really can set a goal and see some of the obstacles in the way, you can already set the solution in place to overcome them even before they crop up and block you. You can already navigate around them. And when you have your goal, make it SMART. Remember, it's specific, measurable, achievable, relevant to your business, and timely. When you set a goal, even if it's a quarterly goal, so say for example, your quarterly goal is to write a book. Okay, so your quarterly goal is you are going to write a book. Well, you need to break that down into your milestones so that week by week throughout the 12 weeks, you know what that means. But and also, you need to understand what writing a book means for your whole business, because your whole business is not just book writing, right? You have financing and cash flow needs. Right? You might have a website you have to pay for. You might have a CRM or a customer email system you need to pay for. You might have a loan you need to be paying on. So how are you making money while you're busy writing your book? Because nobody will pay you to write your book, right? So you have to think, other areas of my business still need to be attended to over this 12-week period. What are the operation goals? So what do you need to do to automate things? What can you do to outsource things while you are busy writing your book? What are you going to do in terms of your branding and your marketing, right? So how can you leverage writing this book with what you are saying about your company in the world, right? So what is your brand and marketing messaging while you're doing this project? Are you going to offer new sales and offers in this quarter, which may or may not be tied to what you're writing your book about? And in your business brilliance, what is going to be your strategy to stay in your brilliance? So if writing a book is in your brilliance, but editing is not, formatting is not, publishing is not, then let's get some people who has those skills as their business brilliance already in the loop. Hey, in 9 weeks, I am going to be finished this book. I would love to get it to you for, an edit. And then you can help me find a formatter and how I'm going to publish this, right? So let's set a timeline that in 10 weeks, we're going to check in. And so that person is ready and waiting for you because you know it's coming. So in your business brilliance, you are on top of your brilliance by letting other people be in their brilliance as they need to step in and help you. And then there may be other parts of your business that also need some support, and that's totally fine, right? You might have parts of your business that you can't pay attention to right now. And so that brings us back to another section of the Business Brilliance course, which is our back end. Remember, we have the financing piece, the legal piece, and the technology piece, which may not be in our back end, but if we are spending a quarter of our year investing in a new product, a new service, a new offer, a new component in our business, we need to check in on those things. What does it mean for our financing? What does it mean for our legal standing? And what does it mean for our tech requirements? Because if you're writing a new book, you're going to have new tech coming in, right? There are other things that need to come into your life that you don't know about if you haven't written a book before. There's different programmings, formatting is different, your website will need to be updated, your social media tags will need to be changed, you might need SEO, your search engine optimization might change to pull out keywords from your book, right? There's a lot of things that will float in the background that have nothing to do with the actual process of writing, but still are in your back end and need to be attended to. So let's take a few minutes and talk about goals, talk about all the things that we need to do to set the right goals in place. Now, if you are just pulling a goal out of the sky and you're like, it's fine, I'll just do this one, and you're not feeling like it's a good goal for you, it's taking your business in the direction your business wants to go in or that you want to go in, you're not going to complete the goal. And it's really going to make you feel like you are in winter the whole time because you're going to be so resistant. So make sure that the goals that you're setting are goals you want to reach and they actually take you towards your vision, right? So if you are finding that all your clients want X from you, if all your clients want soap from you, but you really want to move into this other category, you have to make a decision. Either you outsource this or you hire someone to run that part of your business, or you do the soap creation, but somebody does your business management so you don't have to do any of that and you move over and do your other thing, right? This is your business, so you get to actually do what you want to do, right? You get to decide how it's going to go. But in terms of your operations, it's critical that you are always making the decisions and not just running and trying to catch up. Set your goals and then walk into that space and meet them. That is the ideal space. So this was a huge chapter. We did a lot about sales. We've done a lot about operations. There's more sheets in your workbook, of course there is. So please take time to dive into each of those categories and just understand where you're going. And if your business is at a space where it needs to start scaling, where you need to bring in an assistant, a VA, or a bookkeeper, or a business manager to run parts of your business so you can do other things, see how you're going to finance that. How many sales do you need to increase your offers by to make the money to pay for these other things, right? It's all doable. Everything is figure-outable, as Marie Forleo would say. We just need to figure it out. And part of that is knowing what the issues are to begin with. So thank you for joining me again. I love having you here. And I will see you in the next video to talk about money, money, money. We'll see you then. Bye.